One, two, three. All right, fuck it, whatever.
Whatever, close enough. Fuck it. You gonna start or am I gonna start? Like, fucking do something here.
Hello, everybody. This is Joey Hollywood, and I'm joined by my good friend.
Don't act like everything's okay. When you're recording abroad, trying to sync things, it's wonderful. Because you hear an echo like 1, 2, 2. No, at the same. What are we doing today, Joey?
We are talking about some movies that we're looking forward to, or I guess in some cases on here, maybe not looking forward to in 2019.
Are there? Did we pick any stinkers? Anything we're hesitant on?
I
think there's one for you.
There's one for me, definitely.
Yeah. I don't know. I'm not really hesitant about most of what because you came to me with a list, and I was like, that's cool. I want to add some of these because, I think there's some things I just really want to talk about, and what better way to do it than here?
Yeah. Well, is there anything you want to say before we jump into it? Or you just want to jump straight into it?
I guess best way to put it, just so people watch the podcast or listen to the podcast, it being a video, that these aren't necessarily like movies that we think, oh, these are going to be the best movies of the year. This is more or less like, here's some movies that have caught our attention. We want to talk about them briefly and be like, why we want to see them or what we're looking forward to, kind of thing. I think that sums it up.
Yeah.
Just so people don't think we're ranking the year's movies yet.
Oh, yeah. Remember that was like a thing on YouTube a while back.
Was it?
Yeah, they would rank movies as if they already saw them. I remember it wasn't like the A-list YouTube community. It was more like the C-list, which was kind of like everyone we knew at the time.
More like the F list.
Yeah.
Anyway, yeah, we've got. I didn't even count how many films we got on here. Like at least 20, right?
Yeah. Let me see. 1, 2.
Oh god, that's gonna take forever. Well, don't have the dyslexic count the movies.
Yeah, almost 20.
Almost 20. So yeah, I think that's a safe number. We have a few on here that are ones that I want to talk about more than Joey, and ones that Joey wants to talk about more than me, and then ones that we're just gonna gush about for maybe like a third of the podcast.
Yeah, and then we're gonna talk about The Tick for the last hour.
No, we're not. So we're gonna start. I think what we have first on the list that you put on here, Men in Black International, the fourth in the Men in Black series that puts out a new film every half a decade, maybe more. A series that always feels like it's dead, but somehow they get another entry.
Yeah, and I don't know how you feel about it, but when I first heard about it, I was like, why? I don't want to see that.
Well, the first I heard, they were doing like a crossover with 21 Jump Street.
Yeah, that sounded like...
But I guess that's not happening anymore.
That sounded like Cancer on Film. Is that what that sounded like?
The thing is, I was like, I remember reading that during the Sony hacks, like, okay, that's stupid, but I mean, we all thought I was a very vocal hater of the 21 Jump Street remake because I was just like, fucking why? But it ended up being one of my favorite movies, so I could have been surprised. Again, it sounded fucking stupid.
Yeah, I mean,
but it could. I feel like if they had the right people, maybe it could have worked.
Yeah, and isn't no wait, I was gonna say isn't Chris Hemsworth is in this new movie and Channing Tatum.
Yes, he is. And first of all, correct me. Sony produces these, right? Like I said, the Sony hacks, right? So these are Sony produced films.
Yes, I believe so.
What do they like? have a contract with Chris Hemsworth to be part of reboots of things that have been dormant for years?
What else was he
Hey,
in?
Chris Hemsworth, you want to be in Ghostbusters? Sure. Hey, you want to be in Men in Black? Sure. I mean, what else is he gonna do? He's got Marvel money. What the fuck is he gonna do with his time? But I mean, we're talking about completely different things. With the movie itself, I was actually very impressed with the trailer. I thought it was actually pretty. Like, I liked what I saw.
Yeah, I did too. I was so turned off. I actually like passive aggressively watched the trailer just because like I guess I'll have to see it. So I watched it and I was like, wow, that actually looks fun. That feels like it has the energy of the first movie almost.
And I know there's already I didn't even bother looking, but like there's already people like, oh, if it's not Tommy Lee Jones and Will Smith, I'm not seeing it. But it's like, this isn't like a reboot. Like they're not playing those characters. There are other members of the MIB that's not even something that's a stretch. That's canonical within the movies, that there are other members, and in different divisions in different parts of the world. So why not make one that takes place? It takes place in England, right?
Yeah, this one takes place in England, which always kind of bugged me about the MIB movies. Is like, okay, they're supposed to be like this international organization,
but they stick with just K and J.
Yeah, there's only 26 letters. Like, what are they gonna do?
Oh my god! Do they only have like 26 members? Like, how does that work? What happens when they have another one? Do they become Agent AB and Agent CD? Like, how does that work?
They just look out and get like a single letter name.
Isn't that what they do? Is that they just erase every part of their name except for the first letter of their name?
Oh, that might be it.
It's in the first film when they're turning Will Smith into a member. They're literally just backspacing his whole name until they get to the J, and then they're like, "That's his name, Agent J."
Okay,
so maybe that's what they do. Yeah, that's what I remember. It's been years, but the other thing is that I'll put it this way: I grew up with the first film. I'm sure you did too, because we're about the same generation.
Yeah.
So the first Men in Black was one of my favorite movies as a kid.
Oh yeah, same.
And
I watched it so many times.
I saw Oh yeah, it highly rewatchable. It gets better, arguably gets better as you get older, because especially I get more of the jokes as an adult now.
Mm-hmm.
I saw the second film in theaters, and I'll put it this way: I know that there's a lot of choice words out there for the second movie, and I'm not defending it. It's not very good, but the fact that the best joke in the entire film is an ad lib from Will Smith, I think you have a problem.
Yeah. The second movie, I think the biggest problem is it's far too short. Like it feels like it starts and it ends like super quick.
As a kid who saw it, I didn't realize it until I rewatched it as an adult. And I know it sounds weird because someone's going to pick apart certain elements, but maybe I'm crazy, but Men in Black 2 feels really toned down. Like it feels it's catering more to children than the first film was.
That wouldn't be surprising because the cartoon show, the animated series, was very, very successful. I had toys.
I actually used to. Oh, I had those too. I had like Taco Bell toys or whatever for that show.
I think it was Wendy's.
I used to watch that show. I think they used to air it with the Godzilla '98 cartoon, like back to back in the day.
Yeah, but Godzilla only had 2 seasons, and Men in Black had 5 seasons.
Sure, but the point being is that you tuned in to watch Godzilla, and Men in Black was like a bonus.
Yeah. Oh,
so you got like 2 Sony. And for the record, the Godzilla '98 show is actually really good compared to the film.
Yeah, I rewatched a couple of episodes of the animated series, and it's I think the animation is very, very cheap, but it's still enjoyable.
Well, I mean, say the same about like Star Trek the animated series. That's a great show.
Yeah, I like Star Trek the animated series, but the animation is bad on that show.
I know, but that's to me it's not a detractor. But speaking of detraction, Men in Black International, I think our mostly final thoughts are we like what we see and we're looking forward to it.
Yeah, the only negative thing I have to say about it is the actress, Agent M, she hasn't sold me.
Now, I don't remember, is that Tiffany Haddish or Taraja P. Henson? Like, I get those two people confused.
She was in Thor Ragnarok. I have not seen Thor Ragnarok, but she's in there.
Neither have I. I've been told that I need to see that.
I've heard she's a great actress, but the trailer, if she is, the trailer didn't showcase that. Chris Hemsworth had a lot of charisma, and she just seemed kind of zoned out in the trailer. But besides that, I liked what I saw. I'm looking forward to it, surprisingly, because I had no interest in that movie up till I saw that trailer.
And speaking of superheroes, you have a film that you want to talk about, which is M. Night Shyamalan's Glass.
Oh yeah, I remember as a little kid. I remember when Unbreakable came out, and I was fascinated by that movie. I remember renting it on VHS tape and just watching it over and over and over again. It's probably, in my opinion, it's M. Night Shyamalan's best movie. I would rank it over The Sixth Sense. I really like Unbreakable. Yeah.
I have not seen Unbreakable, nor have I seen Split, which apparently both of these are required viewing to even understand what the fuck's going on in Glass.
Yeah.
So I'm not as excited as you are, simply because I am not caught up. So I need to catch myself up before I see this one. But I am hopeful that a lot of you Unbreakable fans get that sequel you really, really deserve.
Oh yeah. Well, the movie ends in a way that you think there's going to be a sequel, and it never happened because apparently it underperformed or something like that. But what I loved about Unbreakable and why I'd recommend you see it, Chris, is it's a superhero movie, but it's a very, very mature superhero movie. I hate when people say like I remember when the Batman versus Superman came out, they're like, oh, it's a realistic superhero movie. Not so much. If superheroes existed, I don't think it would be like the X-Men or Heroes. I think it'd be like Unbreakable, and I think that's why that movie is so strong, because it tells this very, I would say almost emotional drama, but there's a superhero element, and they never clash. It's seamless. The ending, well, I'm not going to get into that, but Split, on the other hand, it feels very, very goofy, but it's still a fun movie. Split's a fun movie. It leans more towards to the horror aspect, because Unbreakable I would consider a drama. Split I would consider a horror movie. But they're both origin stories for a superhero and a supervillain.
Like, it feels like the Evil Dead trilogy, and like each film kind of tackles a sort of different tone.
Yeah, and it looks like the new film is definitely going to be more of a superhero movie than the last two.
Right.
But from what I understand, the reason, because M. Night Shyamalan doesn't have the best track record. Apparently, Split was an unused subplot of Unbreakable that was completely cut out of the movie.
So he just like recycled an old script.
Yeah, he just recycled the unused part of that script into its own movie, and I think that's probably why it turned out so good. That and the cinematographer from It Follows definitely helped that movie.
Ooh.
So
once I see those films, I'm gonna be able to check out Glass.
Yeah, Split's fun, but it didn't make the impact on me like Unbreakable did.
No, but I feel I mean I have to at least be familiar with that character before I see him interact with the other two.
Yeah, and Glass, it's the sequel I've been waiting for since I was a kid. I'm so happy that I'm finally going to see those characters like come full circle. I think that's the direction they're going to go with it. They're finally going to come into their own in this film, and I can't wait for it. It's happening so early into the year, so.
And to sort of turn this genre on its head, we have, for me, something I really wanted to talk about, a sort of anti-superhero movie, which is Brightburn. I only found out about this movie very recently. In fact, I found out about it because of Philip DeFranco's show, where he did one of those, like, today in Awesome, there's this trailer for the movie Brightburn. It's like, he said a James Gunn film, and I was immediately like, oh, well, I gotta see what that is. Well, it's not a James Gunn film in the way it's not written by him, and it's not directed by him, but it's produced by him. But the premise really got me, and to make it even more interesting, it's actually written by Gunn's relatives, Brian and Mark Gunn, which, if I recall correctly, they're his cousins, or I think one's a cousin and one's a brother. I don't remember what the lineage is of those two, but they're relatives of James Gunn. And they're definitely not like the actors like Sean Gunn. But Brightburn basically what if Superman crashed onto Earth, but instead of a good guy, he was a bad guy, like Superman meets the Omen kind of thing.
So not
And
like Superman Red Sun, just like
listen, nerd. I don't know what the fuck that is. No, well, as someone who doesn't read much on Superman, when I heard the selling point, it's been in like many articles, like, what if Superman was evil? And I kept thinking hypothetically, like Mark Miller's Nemesis, like the way he described it is, what if Batman was a total cunt? And I don't know, I like the idea of taking something that's, burned into our pop culture zeitgeist and kind of twisting it a bit. Like, yeah, what if the alien kid that crashed on Earth wasn't, a good guy? What if he killed people? What if he was just pure fucking evil? What if he was like Omen-esque evil incarnate? And the trailer really got me. Like, I would recommend you checking out the trailer later, because I got, besides the fact that Elizabeth Banks is in it, so the Slither connection. It's definitely not going for the horror comedy angle. It's a pretty straight horror, and the trailer was really effective for me. I mean, it has its standard like jump scares for the trailer, but there was just some great atmosphere with it, and like it got like, I'll put it this way: very few trailers for a film like that made it difficult for me to go to sleep. Like it was actually like that effective, and I feel like I'm overhyping it, but this was really what I thought while watching it, and it's 100% sold me. Not besides the James Gunn Association, I want to see it on its own merit. Besides the fact that it says James Gunn presents, which means very little. It's just that he was like, hey, I like your script, guys. Here's some money. I can't direct it because I can't be seen for a while.
When you put that on the list, I had no idea what that was, but the James Gunn connection definitely piques my interest. I'm not the biggest James Gunn fan, but I've seen his Trauma stuff.
James Gunn's one of my favorite filmmakers. He always will be. I've loved him since Super, which I've actually gone on record that I believe Super is a better film than Kick-Ass. But I'm also one of the only people that thinks Kick-Ass 2 is better than Kick-Ass 1. Call me out on my bullshit, whatever. I'm sorry. I want the film that was advertised as a fucking black comedy to actually be a black comedy. I don't know. I thought Kick-Ass was a bit too safe for a black comedy, if you ask me. But Kick-Ass 2 got a lot heavier.
I think I remember talking about that with you years ago, that it halfway through the movie it becomes what it's parroting.
Yeah, I mean, I still like Kick-Ass. I still think it's a good movie, but people can't, because I love black comedy, and people when I was in high school would be like, "Oh, then you're gonna love Kick-Ass." And then I saw the movie, I was like, I don't know. Like when I think black comedy, I think like Meet the Feebles, or something crazy and really like shit you're not supposed to find funny.
Like Robocop.
I've actually never seen Robocop.
Never seen Robocop?
No, well, whenever it's on TV, I just refuse to watch it. I was like, well, if I'm going to watch it, I want to see it unedited. And I just have never gotten around to seeing it.
Next time you're in California, we're going to watch Robocop.
We'll watch it. I mean, I saw Peter Jackson's early stuff. That's some, some black coffee comedy right there. Really, really disturbed stuff.
Meet the Feebles legitimately disturbed me the first time I saw it.
It doesn't help that it's shot really poorly. It's shot like a snuff film.
Yeah, well, I remember the part where I think one of the puppets does cocaine, and it's like convulsing and dying, and all of the other puppets just find it funny. I remember that really disturbed me as a kid. On YouTube, watching some movie that shouldn't have been on YouTube in the first place.
And now we have Happy Time Murders.
Yeah, I still need to see Happy Time Murders.
I was the few that enjoyed it, but getting off topic here. Yeah, Brightburn. Highly recommend people at least go watch the trailer. See what you think. If the premise hasn't sold you and the James Gunn Association hasn't sold you, give the trailer a watch. See what you think. And God, we just can't get away from superhero movies. We got Shazam next up on our list.
Yeah, that is the first DC movie that I've been excited about since Green Lantern.
I see. I'm agreeing with you in that once again. it's the first DC film, especially the current generation of DC films, where I'm like, I want to see that. And I should preface, I never watched the show. I mean, it was before my time. But my father watched the show.
Wait.
And what's up?
Wait, which show?
Shazam.
Okay. Oh, sorry. For some reason, I thought you were talking about.
Did you not know that Shazam had a show?
It had a couple of shows, but for some reason, I was.
Because first of all, the show is where the Shazam confusion comes from, if I'm not mistaken.
No,
okay, for the record, people, Shazam's not his name. It's Captain Marvel.
No,
Shazam is what he yells.
His name is Shazam now.
Yes, it is now, but it was.
No, the
only reason he's not Captain Marvel now is because Marvel took Captain Marvel, and now there's a Captain Marvel. Okay, how about the fact that there's a Captain Marvel movie coming out the same year as a Shazam film? They can't get away from each other. It's almost like it's spiteful.
For some reason, when you said the show, I was picturing the 19-whatever theatrical serial, and I was like, how old is your dad?
No. The show, the show Shazam. Again, trailing off. Yeah, the movie, I like it. I like that. I mean, obviously, compared to the other DC films, I think it has a better tone.
Yeah.
Like, maybe I'm weird, but I actually laughed while watching I felt good watching the trailer. I didn't feel miserable, like, oh god, what are you guys doing?
Yeah.
If they went the same route with Shazam that they did with their other films, I would just say fuck the DCEU, because they don't understand what the hell they're doing. Shazam should not be dark and gritty. Shazam should be fun and bright and funny. It should feel good.
The line that made me actually want to see it was the part where he throws the bad guy out the window and he goes, sorry about your window, but you're welcome for saving you, or something like that.
Hi, I'm a superhero.
Yeah, it's just like
I love Zachary Levi. I loved him in Tangled. I think he's got a great he's just a likable guy,
Yeah. Oh, and he from what I've seen in that trailer, he perfectly captures a little kid in a man's body.
And first of all, I remember I saw someone leave a comment, because I guess in one of the trailers they had what's associated as a Fortnite dance, flossing, I think it's called.
Yeah, I think
and some snob is like, oh, why is he flossing? Someone says, because he's 14. Like, did you see the same trailer? The joke is that it's a kid in an adult body. It's big, okay? It's big if he were a superhero.
Yeah, that's what's always drawn me towards Captain Marvel or now Shazam.
Yeah.
Just because that's such a fun premise. But yeah, I love Captain Marvel, and I'm so happy that it's not going to be like this dark, gritty thing. That it's going to be.
No, it looks like a good time, which is what it should be. And this might be the only DC movie I see in theaters at all, because I didn't bother with Aquaman. Even though everyone said Wonder Woman was really good, I just haven't gotten around to seeing it. I couldn't. I mean, if I say this, the podcast is killed. I couldn't sit through Man of Steel. I already know your history with that film, so let's just save everyone the trouble and skip you. But yeah, I couldn't finish Man of Steel. I really just did not like Batman v Superman. And because I was just like, I don't want to see any more of these. And I'm a DC fan. I know there's going to be all those like torches and pitchforks. Like, how dare you, Marvel fanboy? Listen, I'm not even caught with the Marvel movies, because sometimes I just don't care. You just have to sell me on the good movie. I don't care if you're following some kind of, for the most part, a universe. Just, I want the movie to be good. And, well, it appears that Marvel's doing a better job at that right now.
Yeah.
And I feel bad about that, because I prefer DC. I always have.
Yeah, same. DC was what I was raised on. And
yeah.
I was actually looking forward to Man of Steel when it came out, and we're not going to get too into it, but I ended up hating it. And that was the last DC movie I saw in theaters. And then I saw Batman v Superman like on VOD, because I refused to buy it. I watched the Ultimate Cut. I didn't hate it, but I wasn't terribly impressed. And then I couldn't care about
the movie. Just should have been like, I will admit my hatred is simply because of I waited years to see that happen, and it should have been better than it was.
Yeah.
Like, it's not the worst movie ever made. I've seen far worse than it, but for the kind of film that it was, it should have delivered better. Like,
I don't understand why it was 3 hours long.
oh god,
I watched it.
the Lincoln of superhero movies.
I just couldn't figure out like why it was that long because there's like so little substance to it.
Nothing happens for 3 hours. But moving on, another film that you're got more to say than I do, simply because I haven't seen the director's previous outing, which is Us, the latest horror film from Jordan Peele of Key and Peele fame. Which, for the record, I love the sketch comedy Key and Peele. I have not seen Get Out, which everyone and their dog has seen and praised to high heavens. So tell me, as someone who hasn't seen Get Out and hasn't even seen the trailer for Us, what intrigues you about this film?
I liked Get Out a lot. I don't think it was the second coming of Christ like some people acted like it was. But I really I really enjoyed it. I was like, it's nice to have a what I would consider to be like a B horror movie in theaters. One of those mid-budget horror movies. Something like I would compare Get Out to something like From Beyond or Reanimator. Kind of like that mid-budget, low-budget horror movie that just has a lot of
the kind of horror film that would develop into a cult film sort of thing.
Yeah, and I was really surprised that it got the critical acclaim it did, because movies like that typically don't. I mean, a lot of people.
Well, I think the thing was like, the sort of dried up well of the good horror film, that anything with any substance whatsoever was going to get praised to high heavens. I'm not saying that the film doesn't deserve it, but I certainly understand, like, if the well is so damn dry, I mean, what do you expect critics to do once they get something good?
The premise is very... I don't want to say this without, like, getting hate, but the premise is kind of silly.
We'll also try to speak of it without many spoilers as someone who hasn't seen it.
Yeah, I'm not going to try... I mean, a lot of people, like, what you see from the trailer where it's like all the white people, white people and the black people are like acting weird in this area.
Yeah, I got the gist of it. It's like Children of the Corn, but with a white family.
Yeah.
But with Us, we haven't even talked about the damn movie.
So when I see Us, it also seems to have kind of a silly premise.
Now, from the grapevine, I understand it's something like a family goes out to a cabin or something. Like, they go out for a vacation and they meet doppelgangers of themselves.
Yeah, they go to like a beach house, and it's like The Strangers.
Okay. Yeah, beach house. All right.
Yeah, there's like, it's like The Strangers, the movie The Strangers. I didn't like The Strangers, but the twist is it's them. The infiltrators are them, and I don't know if it's clones or
us. Hence Us.
Yeah, and so that premise strikes me as something kind of silly, to give the credit, because I know it's been announced that Peele is hosting a reboot of Twilight Zone, and I get why they decided to go with him, because both of these films have very Twilight Zone-ish premises. I agree. Yeah, when I first heard that he was going to be the host of the Twilight Zone, I was a little uneasy, because I was like, look, guys, he's made one horror movie. But, with Us looks really interesting, and the trailer didn't say much, but it said enough to make me want to watch it, and that's probably the best kind of trailer.
Yeah, I mean, Alfred Hitchcock's trailer for Psycho told you virtually nothing.
Yeah.
It's considered one of the greatest trailers of all time.
Yeah, I think he just flushes the toilet.
he like tours the hotel and such. But I again, once I see, I feel like it sounds like so many of these are, I haven't seen it. I get busy sometimes, for all you people listening, to think, why don't you watch enough movies? I try. I saw 18 in theaters last year. I'm doing better than I used to. So I will see again. I think it's on Netflix. If not, I think it's on Hulu. I know it's on something.
Yeah, it's worth a watch.
Oh, I had every intention of seeing it after it won, for Best Original Screenplay. But moving on, we have the latest, or rather the upcoming Quentin Tarantino picture, Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. Now, we have this as both, but I don't have, I know enough that I believe it's a sort of pseudo-biopic, loosely based on the Helter Skelter murders. Correct me?
Yeah, I think it's meant to be more like the. Have you ever seen the movie Bonnie and Clyde?
Years and years ago.
That movie is not based on Bonnie and Clyde. It's based on the legend of Bonnie and Clyde, and I think this is kind of the same thing. It's not so much based on the actual murder.
Well, I mean, it's a Tarantino picture. Of course, it's not going to be a hit. Inglorious Bastards should be a red flag of there. It's not going to be historically accurate. It's going to be entertaining.
Yeah.
You know, we didn't actually shoot Hitler to death in a burning theater, although we fucking should have. But I mean, when I hear Tarantino is doing a film about the murder of oh shoot, what was her name? Sharon Tate, right?
Oh, it's maybe.
Is that her name? I don't remember. Roman Polanski's of age girlfriend.
Good distinguisher.
Yeah, I went there. I'm sorry, but no, I mean, DiCaprio's in it, isn't he?
Yeah, and I think Burt Reynolds' last role is in it too.
No, I think they recast him.
Oh, that's a shame.
I remember reading that because I may be wrong. If in the comments, feel free to correct me. But I heard he was recast because of his past. Because I don't think he shot enough of his scenes to keep him in the film. So I think they had to recast him, or he probably wasn't even cast at all. I don't remember, but I remember looking at that because I was like, "Well, what's Burt Reynolds' last film? Oh, it's this. Oh, he's not in it. Oh." So it was confusing, but
it's kind of like Kevin Spacey and All the Money in the World. but instead of being
instead of being dead, it's that his career is dead. We're terrible. Okay, the movie looks at it's a Tarantino film. We're film nerds. We're kind of obligated to see the next Tarantino film until he retires.
I would say Tarantino
dies.
is the Hitchcock of our generation.
Really, you go that far?
I would say so. I think he's going to be. I think there's better filmmakers than Hitchcock at that time, but he was one of the few filmmakers who could appeal towards the cinephile and the average moviegoer. And I think Quentin Tarantino checks those two boxes.
And strangely, Tarantino is one of the only independent filmmakers that I don't even think you can qualify as an independent filmmaker anymore.
Yeah.
Because everyone knows the name Quentin Tarantino. He's practically a household name at this point. Yeah, I would argue there are less people that know Robert Rodriguez or Jim Jarmusch, but people definitely know Tarantino.
Yeah, I think Robert Rodriguez's time in the sun kind of ended in the early 2000s.
It ended when he made Spy Kids 4. Moving on, the next film that you have, the last one on your discussion, The New Mutants, which is a horror-themed X-Men film. Now, something I know is that you and I have interesting takes on X-Men, be it the films and the comics, that I believe we both have a similar... you were a firm believer if you wanted the X-Men to stay away from the MCU, whereas I was an advocate for keeping them in.
I do not want the X-Men in the MCU, no.
Well, too bad it's happening. But besides that, I will agree.
Kevin Feige says he doesn't want them in the MCU either.
Did he?
Yeah, I saw an article that said that he didn't want them in there, but he said that it's not gonna. He's not ruling out the possibility, but he has no plans at the time, or something to that effect.
Fair enough. But the thing with me is I have to give the latest Fox films some credit in they're really taking some great turns with the property. We got Logan recently, which was one of my favorite movies of its year.
Yeah.
And obviously we got Deadpool, something a lot of us were waiting for a long time. And New Mutants, which has me interested because the idea of a horror take on the series, again, I didn't read much of the comics. My knowledge of X-Men is, the animated series from '94, which is what I grew up with. So I'm really intrigued with that premise, and that I saw one trailer and it didn't tell me much, but I was definitely interested.
It looked interesting. It looked like a supernatural movie, but it was the X-Men. But here's the thing. Here's kind of the bittersweet aspect of it. Because of the Fox Disney merger, what the New Mutants is. It's supposed to be the first part of a trilogy. And because of the Fox-Disney merger,
That trilogy's not happening.
the trilogy's not happening, so they had to reshoot the ending. So the ending's probably going to suck. And then also during the merger, like when everything was going on, they started like apparently panicking and they reshot a bunch of the movies. So we might be seeing a mess or a masterpiece. We don't know at this point.
Or a masterpiece.
Yeah, it might be one of those movies that are just so fascinating because just so many things
How
went wrong.
everything went wrong.
Yeah. So either way, I'm excited whether this is like a good movie or a bad movie. I'm excited to see what this brings to the table. Will this be the movie that I wish got the sequels that were planned, or is this a movie where I'm going to see it and I'm going to be like, "Ooh, it's probably for the best that never happened."
Let's just hope it's not Fantastic.
Yeah, I don't think it will be. I don't think it'll go that route.
I had bad juju about that film from day one. I was right.
I think everyone
I was so
did.
fucking right. Not everyone, but moving on with New Mutants. I'm interested if we ever fucking see the movie, depending on how they release it, because they seem to keep juggling where it's even going to be, if it's going to be in theaters or on a streaming service.
It was supposed to come out last year.
It keeps jumping around. But next on the list, I guess continuing with superhero films, the Solo Joker film, directed by Todd Phillips, if I remember correctly, and starring Joaquin Phoenix as the Joker.
Yeah,
Which, first of all, let me just say, what an odd combination. Because I love Joaquin Phoenix. I actually just saw a film with him last year. Don't worry, he won't get far on foot. I thought he was fantastic in that. But like Todd Phillips, I mean, he's predominantly a comedy director. He did Old School and, of course, The Hangover. Kind of an odd choice for a DC film.
From what I heard, it's going to be kind of a mixture of Taxi Driver and the new guys, or the good guys, the nice guys. Gosh,
for Christ's sake, it's one of your favorite movies and you couldn't get the name right.
You know what messed me up is you kept on calling it the good guys, and that was like in my brain.
I'm sorry.
I heard it's going to be a mixture of.
So in other words, you're trying to say that it's going to be a dark comedy.
Yeah, that's what I've heard. But there's not a lot of information about this movie. I'm actually surprised it's coming out so soon, because it feels like they just started making it.
Unless that was all part of the marketing to make it look like they're just making it, even though it's probably been mostly shot already.
Yeah, maybe. I actually really like the design of the Joker. I like how he's different yet familiar, you know?
Yeah.
I like that, because I know a lot of people have very different ranging opinions on. Oh shoot, what was the actor who played the Joker in Suicide Squad?
Jared Leto.
Yeah, I know a lot of people have different opinions on Jared Leto. I thought that was a little too edgelordy, a little too try hard.
Oh no, it was horrendous. You're not going to hear an argument from me.
I look at that and I can see, oh, that's why they won the Oscar that year, because the makeup on his tattoos, you can just tell that's really intensive and amazing, but also it's so needless, and it didn't need to be there. It's all like, he came in for like 6 hours a day to put those tattoos on.
I want damaged on my forehead because I'm all kinds of messed up. I want the world to know that I'm all kind of messed up.
Was that Psycho Pebbles that did that?
No, that was Jason Steele, the film cow.
The film cow, yeah.
Yeah. One of my favorite videos.
That was one of
I'm interested in where they're gonna go with this. It's certainly a unique take, and I'm not against the Joker side film. In fact, I'm all for it. Like any of these films on the list, I just want them to be good. I can't really. We know so little outside of cast, crew, and some screenshots of the makeup. We don't really know much else.
I know a lot of people were saying that, I don't want to see a Batman, a Joker film without Batman as much as I want to see a Venom movie without Spider-Man.
First of all, I liked Venom, but I think you have to have a strong enough character, and I would argue that Venom and the Joker are strong enough characters to carry a film.
I think you're a bigger fan of Venom than I am because I've always felt that Venom was very one note.
I'll put it this way: Venom versus like Scorpion. You wouldn't make a film about Scorpion, or at least you shouldn't. Same
Yeah.
goes with Joker. Makes more sense than doing like a Mad Hatter film. You can't do Mad Hatter without Batman. Of the rogues gallery of Batman, of course, a Joker film is more likely and has more potential than other characters. I mean, we tried to give Catwoman a spinoff, and we know how that turned out. Outside of you, because we know how much you love Halle Berry.
No, that movie's disappointing to me too because
What, you didn't have any dreams of Halle Berry in a skin-tight leather?
if you watch the Catwoman movie with Halle Berry,
I have. I saw it in theaters.
you never see her in the Catwoman suit. You see a CGI caricature of Halle Berry in the Catwoman suit. But when
There's maybe like 2 scenes of her actually in the outfit.
yeah, and it's always like from the neck up. You never really get a full like look. That movie's such a waste. Such a waste.
And speaking of waste, if you ask certain people, 3 films that I've kind of cobbled together that I want to talk about because I have varying different things to say about them, and I know how often do you get to say not 1 but 3 Disney films are being remade as live action films in the same year?
Yeah.
Like, holy shit. And I'll put it this way. I have not seen most of the live action films. I'll put it this way. I haven't seen Jungle Book, which a lot of people have said is one of the best ones. I did see Beauty and the Beast, and I thought it was one of the worst movies I had ever seen.
Really? I thought you liked it.
Dude, no. I hated that film. I love the original to pieces. I hated the live action film. Furiously hated it. But moving on from that, all 3 of these films, really only one of them I have some high hopes for.
Mm-hmm.
The other 2, I'm very kind of like, I gotta see out of curiosity.
Can I
look? You want to guess?
I want to guess which one it is. I'm going to guess it's the one that I'm interested in too.
Well, what would that be?
Dumbo.
Yes, Dumbo is the one I'm more interested of the 3 of them. And I will explain why. Because of those 3, and again, I'm basing this off of the trailers that we've seen, and Lion King and Aladdin didn't give us a lot to go with, especially since they're teasers, and they were just recreations of scenes we've already seen before.
Mm-hmm.
Dumbo, at the very least, is a little different. And I'm not just talking about the Tim Burton aesthetic. Like, the premise is slightly different. There's characters that are different. Like, to me, if you're going to remake these films, like another one that I have not seen, which is Pete's Dragon, again, a lot of people said was really good. Allegedly, Pete's Dragon was very different from the original film.
Oh yeah.
So in my eyes,
different.
if you're going to remake these films, make them different. Like, isn't that the idea of remake, to do it differently?
Yeah.
Like, not necessarily do beat for beat for beat, because that's not remaking, that's reshooting. If you're just doing the whole film beat for beat the same, you're just shooting it with new actors and new technology.
I think Disney has the problem of going too far in either direction, because they'll either make a movie that's so far off the beaten path that it's the antithesis of what that movie should be. Like Maleficent stands out in my mind.
Again, I never saw Maleficent.
Oh, it's horrible.
But at least with Dumbo, like, you can still, when I see the trailer, I still go, yeah, Dumbo. Like, I still associate it with Dumbo, and you don't really need to do much with that. You just gotta have you gotta have a baby elephant that can fly with its ears.
And I actually have not liked many Tim Burton movies in recent years. I hated Alice in Wonderland.
You're in a very common wagon. I am not on that wagon, but I get that. I get that. I know that there are a lot of people that share that sentiment.
I know in the ether of the world, I'm not alone, but in my group of friends, I am alone. I'm like the only person that just has disliked most.
I'm not going to, as a Tim Burton fan, still to this day, I'm not going to sit here and be that guy who's like, how dare you not continue to support. Some people are just going to grow fatigued of his style, and I get that. I personally have it.
Oh, it's not a style.
No, but I'm saying generally that's what a lot of people take away is that they're just not. They're not as
Well,
they're not as pulled by his content as they used to be.
well, that's I think that's what drew me to Dumbo is that it looked familiar as a Tim Burton style, but it didn't.
It reminds me of Big Fish, which I really liked.
It looked.
I don't know if you ever saw that one.
I think the problem I had with, like, let's say Alice in Wonderland or Charlie and the Chocolate Factory is they didn't feel like real movies to me. They just felt like, I don't know. It's like Bowfinger, where they're making a fake movie in a movie. That's what those movies felt like to me. They didn't feel like real movies. They felt like someone making fun of Tim Burton in a movie.
See, I don't share this sentiment, especially since I'm in the minority that I actually don't hate Alice in Wonderland. And I also greatly like Charlie and the Chocolate Factory. I do not like it more than Willy Wonka, but I do like the film. Well, shut up. It's closer to the book than Willy Wonka.
No, it's
and
not.
I know people, hold
no,
it,
it's
hold
not.
it.
The entire third.
There are differences. I'm not saying it's 100%.
The entire third act.
Roald Dahl was screwed with the Willy Wonka script. He was screwed royally with that script, and I blame them for that. It's still a good movie, and I will still argue that Willy Wonka as a film is superior to Charlie and the Chocolate Factory. At least give me that. But all I am saying is that in essence of what Roald Dahl had to go through when they were making Willy Wonka, he got fucked over. And Charlie and the Chocolate Factory, as someone who's read the book, does take more beats from the book. It's not 100%, but compared to Willy Wonka.
I don't know, like, the chapter where Willy finds the Oompa Loompas, that's a chapter in the book. It's like a minute in the movie. It's just like, boop, it's a joke, and it's gone. And then there's like this, like, the entire third act is about this dentist ad, and people...
There are supporters of that film, and hell, it's a well-reviewed film for
Charlie and Chocolate Factory?
Yeah, believe it or not, it's actually certified fresh.
Oh.
I know. I thought it'd be lower, but it's actually well-reviewed. But, again, we're not here about Tim Burton. We're talking about Disney movies. So,
sorry.
Yes, Dumbo is the only one of the three that I'm actually like, I think could be the best one. And I'm not saying that Lion King and Aladdin are going to suck. I'm not, because I really, for the most part, I really detest the whole Negative Nancy. You know, oh God, they're ruining my job. They're not ruining shit. Like, they're making these movies. Most of these films are like 20 years old. And I know to a lot of people, I get, 20 years is too soon to remake something. I get that. But look, I would feel if you have common sense, you can agree, them making these films again does not retroactively erase the other film from existence.
Yeah, I agree.
I hate, like, it always feels like there's that mentality of, now we'll have to differentiate, this film from the other film. No, we won't. Because, like, people talk about Ghostbusters now, no one's subconsciously thinking the 2016 film.
I think the only movie that has that problem is Halloween.
Yeah, Halloween does have that problem. I will agree with that. See, I like Halloween. I don't care for Halloween, but I really liked Halloween. But besides, like, Aladdin, we have nothing to go off of outside of a promo image on a magazine that people already bitched about, even though you have no context. Oh, wait. Which I think is key.
You know that they weren't going to make Will Smith blue. I don't know why everyone's complaining.
No, he is blue. He is blue. He just wasn't blue for that photo shoot.
I'm really surprised.
It's in that very magazine, in that article, if I recall, Will Smith even says, no, don't worry, he's blue. It's just, I'm not blue in that. He's not actually blue in real life, so they didn't blue him for...
I didn't think they were going to make him blue.
The thing is, the outfit is more keen to the Broadway version. And in my belief, I think the Aladdin one is going to be more of a combination of the Broadway musical and the animated film, which could work in its favor, to make it kind of stand out, because they're very different entities, which I wish Beauty and the Beast did, which it didn't. A Tony Award-winning Broadway musical, you didn't think to have some elements of that in there? And hell, Lion King has a famous Broadway musical that it could take elements from.
Lion King, they're taking some musical things from the play.
They might. I didn't know that. I'll have to take your word for it. But with Lion King, final words on that one, Aladdin, I don't know, it could be fine. Lion King, again, it could be fine. I don't see anything to get angry about.
I
They're
think
just
I'm gonna have a very unpopular opinion about Lion King.
sure.
I don't think they should have got James Earl Jones to play Mufasa again.
I 100% agree with you.
I think they should have got someone like, I don't know, like Keith Davis or someone.
I 100% agree with you. In fact, here's the thing: Keith David's played Mufasa before.
Oh, really? I didn't know that.
Yeah, on House of Mouse, they had him voice Mufasa for like a couple lines. I guess James Earl Jones wasn't available, but he had. I agree, because my problem is James Earl Jones sounds like he's in his 80s, so like he doesn't have that same commanding voice he once. Like, I mean, it's still James Earl Jones, but there's a sort of tiredness to it that I'm noticing.
Yeah, and the thing is, I love James Earl Jones. I love his performance in The Lion King. But you know what? I can just watch The Lion King if I want that.
Yeah.
Make this movie different.
And here's the problem with having James Earl Jones reprise the role is now it's the only performance that you actually can compare, and there's no way that his performance in this film is going to be anything close to the one he already gave.
Yeah.
Like it literally can't. He's old, he sounds frail. It's not going to compare. It's going to be the weak link in the whole film, arguably.
Yeah, I know a lot of people really love that aspect of it, and I'm just...
I know. I like that we're on the same page on that one, because I also felt like, am I the only one that doesn't like that James Earl Jones is reprising the role, and I feel it should have gone to someone else? Like Idris Elba or Keith David or someone else who's...
Oh yeah, Idris Elba would have been a good choice.
Yeah, but it should have been someone slightly younger than Earl.
Yeah, I mean, I think Keith Davis is the same age as, but Keith Davis still has that.
Yeah, but he doesn't sound as old as, like, I think he's in his 70s, if not his late 60s.
Keith has an amazing voice. I've loved that man's voice.
Oh, that guy! I've always I love Keith David, always will. But moving on, yeah, the live action Disney films, they might be fine. Dumbo looks more promising than the rest, and that's really all I had to say about that. Now, let's get into a meat and potatoes one, something I think we have completely different sides of the argument on. Hellboy is getting rebooted from the fine people that gave us Twilight. And the star of Stranger Things, one of my favorite characters, Sheriff Hopper, otherwise known as David Harbour. Mm-hmm. Now, let's get one thing straight. The trailer fucking sucks.
Yeah.
No defending that. The trailer blows. However, I do like David Harbour as Hellboy. I'm saying that as someone who, arguably, in that trailer, we don't even get much of him as Hellboy, which is my biggest problem with it. You're not selling me on Hellboy here. But when they announced that he was going to be Hellboy, I'll put it this way. Hellboy getting rebooted made me watch Stranger Things. Because I was like, well, I got to know what this guy's like, so I put on Stranger Things.
He's a good choice for Hellboy.
Yeah. Ron Perlman those are very big shoes to fill.
Yeah.
And no one can fill his shoes.
You know it's weird I noticed with the trailer is the makeup looks better than Ron Perlman's, but it also looks like he can't act through it.
The problem I have with okay, it definitely feels closer to Mignola's art. It's a little because you've seen the comics, right?
Yeah.
I'm not saying you've read them, but you definitely you know the artwork.
Yeah.
I get that allegedly, the point of this reboot is to be more like the comics, and the comics are pretty dark.
And I don't believe that for a second. So
I know, I'm saying the trailer's not helping its case, where all the articles are, oh, we want this to be a darker Hellboy, but your trailer made it seem tamer than the Ron Perlman ones. The Ron Perlman ones, I mean, the tooth fairies are disturbing, man. Like there's some horrific imagery in that shit. I mean, it's Del Toro, for Christ's sake.
I love those Hellboy movies. Without those Hellboy movies, I would have never found the comics.
No, I agree. Those were a blind watch for me. I love those films. And here's the thing, because it feels like the film has things that should work. Like they've got the director of Dog Soldiers, so you've got a guy who knows how to make an effective low budget horror. Like I have not seen Dog Soldiers, but I know from you that Dog Soldiers is kind of a cult favorite in the horror circle.
Yeah, and Dog Soldiers is a good movie. It's the Predator, but with werewolves.
Yeah, but the thing is, that's a to get someone who can take clearly a modest budget and do something effective. Like clearly, Neil Marshall he's a promissory choice, and you've got Mike Mignola. I hope I can't remember if it's Mignola or Magnolia. I don't remember. But Mike Mignola is apparently even more involved with the script. Like he co-wrote it. He's consulting. Like it feels like the pieces should fall in the right place, but that trailer, man, is not. It's just not selling, and I'm still so cautiously optimistic. But I feel I'm gonna be so fucking let down.
I'm not gonna watch it for one reason.
Go on.
I'm hoping that it bombs bad enough that they will consider making the third Hellboy movie with Ron Perlman. Pull like an Ash versus Evil Dead.
I would love a pseudo kind of cell shaded 3, because I love those direct to video animated films.
Oh yeah.
And here's the thing, Hellboy fans will take a crappy CGI show as long as it's Perlman and Doug Jones and what was her name? Selma Blair, right?
Yeah, I think Selma Blair. Yeah.
As long as you get the same 3 actors back, we're good. I don't care who writes it. Just bring those guys back. We don't care how you do it. You could do a motion comic for all I care. You could do a video game series like a Telltale bullshit. I don't care. Just give them back to me.
Be like that Ghostbusters game that's not really a good game.
You know what? Yeah, I'll fucking take that. I'll take a Ghostbusters game where Ron Perlman would probably do more than Bill Murray. But I do not see Hellboy doing very well at the box office because arguably what's the appeal? Because the Hellboy was already kind of an obscure character.
You pissed off the fan base.
Yeah.
You pissed off the actors that the fan base loves. Like I look at that trailer and I'm like, who's this meant for?
I don't like,
because like the only people that are really gonna watch it are the people that watch everything with
people who are gonna watch it are the ones that are gonna do it begrudgingly. They're not like I'm doing it begrudgingly because I like Hellboy and I want to give the film a fighting chance. Again, there's a 40% chance that I'm going to walk out disappointed. I don't want to be, but I can't shoot my mouth off and not at least see the movie.
Well, I mean, if I see it, it'll be very.
No, I mean you can wait till video, but I'm seeing it in theaters. Yeah, granted, with my AMC stubs, so the theater chain gets more of the money than they do.
Yeah,
just saying.
I mean, if the movie's good, so be it. I just don't like what they did to Ron and Del Toro, and I draw my line in the sand. I'm not going to see it. They're not going to get my money, and I hope we get an Ash versus Evil Dead type thing out of it, where we get the thing the fans want, and then gets canceled 3/5 of the way through.
Speaking of fandoms, toxic or otherwise, something I'm more cautiously optimistic of than you are. Kind of weird how that works again. There is going to be a Sonic the Hedgehog film in the late year, I believe November, I think is when it's aimed for.
Yeah.
Now, I already know your opinions on this. Now, Sonic is a strange. Okay, I grew up with Sonic. I had a Sega Genesis growing up.
Yeah, I did too.
Sonic has a very rocky history with its games and other mediums. And only as of late have I been really impressed with, I really liked one of the latest games, Sonic Mania. And I actually really enjoy, I think it's canceled, but I really enjoyed the Sonic Boom Show. Something I would highly recommend a lot of people watch. It's really, really clever. And I already know that there are people ready to just rip this film a new one before we've even seen anything. I mean, you're chuckling over there, Chuckles, but look, I don't expect this to be a masterpiece or anything. But I can't help but, when you're a kid and you theorize live action films of your favorite things, don't lie to me, Joey, you've had that. You've theorized about seeing a movie version of your favorite thing, be it a cartoon, be it a video game, be it a comic book. But some of these have happened.
The thing is that the Tick actually happened though, and it was good.
Not as a movie. Not as a movie.
Yeah, that's right.
But okay, I'll put it this way: The Tick doesn't suck.
Yeah.
Sonic doesn't, and I'm not saying Sonic sucks. I'm saying there are Sonic things that suck. There are no Tick things that suck. Maybe the SNES game, maybe, but there aren't really any things associated with the Tick that I would say suck.
I think the SNES game is good actually. So
you're missing the point here. Is that Sonic has a really rocky relationship, especially with me. But I also have to say, and it's my problem with fandoms right now, I would rather we waited until we saw a more full trailer before we started sharpening pitchforks. Like, people are judging a design of a character that we haven't even fully seen.
I think
I'm not saying it's going to be a great, like, I have my optimism. I've actually seen, not the Chris Pratt poster, that's an old one. But apparently, because they screened footage at a Brazilian Comic-Con, and somebody actually like sketched up what he looked like in the test footage, and he's kind of somewhere in the middle of those two designs. And I actually was like, oh, I kind of like that. It's not the worst thing I've ever seen, but I also have to say, I don't know how much you can do with a character design like Sonic live action. You could always make the argument, why not just make it animated? I get that. They already did that.
Why not just don't do it?
Shut up. The kid in me wanted to see a live-action Sonic the Hedgehog for years. I'm 27, and I'm going to see the Sonic the Hedgehog live-action movie because that's what 7-year-old Chris wanted to see. I'm not saying it's going to be good, but
I think at best it's going to be like the live-action Chipmunks movie. And at worst, it's going to be like the live-action Woody Woodpecker movie.
I'm going to say it'll be, at its best, it's going to be the best movie starring Sonic the Hedgehog can be. That's the best way I can put it. The best movie starring Sonic the Hedgehog. I don't think we can say anything else about that. Is this?
No,
I'm cautiously optimistic. He's going to shit on it, but moving on.
I'm not even going to shit on it. I'm not even going to see it.
Whatever, but on to something that actually looks really good. The other side of that coin, Pokemon Detective Pikachu.
Yeah.
There's another movie my 7-year-old self wanted to see. A live-action Pokemon film, and it actually looks really good.
Here's a movie that I heard about and had no interest in seeing until I saw the trailer.
Isn't it crazy? I've actually, as someone who goes to the theater a lot, as someone who saw the trailer on YouTube, nothing really gets it like seeing that trailer on the big screen in a theater, because that's when my younger self starts like getting really excited, like, oh my god, it's a Pokemon movie and they're real, and it just fills me with so many warm nostalgia, you know?
Yeah.
And it's kind of weird because Pokemon can't technically be nostalgic because it's still going, like, especially since this one is based on a very recent game, Detective Pikachu.
I love the design of the creatures.
Oh yeah, they actually, believe it or not, they actually had a fan artist design these.
Oh really?
Yeah, a famous. I say famous, I mean like, you know, well known on like Tumblr and stuff. A guy who specialized in making like realistic Pokemon drawings.
Mm-hmm.
They hired him to design the new well, not the new, but to design them for live action. So that's why they look so good, is because they're fan consulted. They're not like executives like, all right, how do we do this? It was fan consulted, which to me makes it a bit more promising, because it kind of shows a labor of appreciation for the fan base and not like the marketing part of it.
Yeah, you know, it's that actually brings something to mind. I've always felt that once a property gets big enough,
yeah,
there's a bigger responsibility there. Like, this is gonna sound a little too I don't know how to say it. Like, if I feel like that once you have a property that's like it's transcended generations, it's ingrained in a culture. You
know that you have like a certain responsibility to please the ones who kept it relevant for the time it's been around.
Yeah, and there's like ways you could do it wrong, like Star Trek Discovery. But then there's like, you know, once you told me that about they got a fan to help design the Pokemon, that I don't know, I'm not even a big Pokemon guy, and that just makes me want to see this movie. that there's a level of care put into it.
Oh yeah. I always hated because you obviously, again, you're getting those people like, oh my god, they look so weird. They're Pokemon.
The only one I thought didn't look great was the mime.
Which one?
The mime.
Well, sure, but Mr. Mime, if you actually read up on his bio, he's kind of freaky.
Yeah, so I guess that works. But
yeah, I mean, first of all, he's humanoid. I don't know how well you could make that not look creepy. Because, okay, first of all, I thought Mr. Mime looked creepy to begin with, before live action, all right? Like, he was a weird guy. Or girl. Well, can he be a girl if his name is Mr. Mime?
Well, aren't all Pokemon female? Isn't that like a thing?
No. There are some that only come in female, like Kangaskhan only comes in female. Nidoran female only come in female. And Nidoran male only come in male. I can't believe I have to explain that.
Well, I even as a kid, I was more into Digimon than Pokemon. But I do have
Digimon had the better anime. Pokemon had the better games.
Yeah, and I never got into the game, so.
But no, Pokemon Detective Pikachu is one of 2 of the most highly anticipated films of the year for me. The other one we'll get to much, much later. But next up, I only have one more on the stuff I want to talk about that you probably don't know much about, which is A Beautiful Day in the Neighborhood, which, as the title suggests, it's a biographical film. I say about Mr. Rogers, but it's not a, this is how Mr. Rogers came to be. It's not like that. Yeah. It's a kind of like Saving Mr. Banks, where it's not about Walt Disney. It's about a moment in Walt Disney's career, a specific moment. Same goes here. This is based on a specific moment that happened where a journalist, a very cynical journalist apparently, was hired to write a piece about Mr. Rogers. So he had to travel and interview him. And basically it's one of those like life-changing things, like, after meeting the guy and getting to know him and interviewing him, his whole like outlook on life completely changed. And he wrote this amazing article about why Mr. Rogers is a great person and all that stuff. So, like, I'll just put it this way. I love Mr. Rogers. My favorite film of last year was the documentary Won't You Be My Neighbor. I'm very excited for this film. I love I know there's going to be some people like, Tom Hanks doesn't look like Walt Disney. And, well, Tom Hanks doesn't look like Fred Rogers. To me, that doesn't matter. Because you don't have to look 100.
I was actually surprised. They did a pretty decent job on him with the makeup.
No, I like the look. But, there's always those people like, This to me is the worst when people say Tom Hanks is too fat to play for Mr. Rogers. First of all, rude. Second, fuck
correct.
You.
No.
Go fuck yourself.
I think he lost
Tom Hanks' son is listening to this podcast and he's saying, hey, why am I listening to them?
Actually, I think he lost weight for the role, didn't he?
I wouldn't know. His head looks the same. The point is that I'm biased because some of my favorite movies as of late have been biographical films based on my favorite subjects. Like, I really loved The Founder, the biographical film about McDonald's.
Yeah, I want to see that.
I actually very recently rewatched it. Still a great film.
Yeah,
I loved Saving Mr. Banks and stuff like that. So I'm looking forward to this because it's a subject that is really close to me, and I like the cast, I like the premise, and I'm very interested to see where it goes. That's really all I can say about it, is that I like it. I'm interested.
I like biopics, but I hardly ever see them.
Yeah, I get that.
We were just talking about this the other day. The Life and Death of Peter Sellers is an awesome movie, and I love that movie. But like, despite like having like those biopic movies that I love and enjoy and rewatch, I don't actively go see biopic movies for some reason. Like, I had no interest in seeing that Bohemian Rhapsody.
To me, I think it has to do with how much the subject pulls you. Like, the fact that I would rewatch The Founder is simply because that subject really hits something with me. I'm really interested, especially since I'm fascinated by the film because it makes me question who I'm supposed to side with in that particular situation. And I kind of, controversially, lean more toward I side with Ray Kroc in that film more than the McDonald's brothers. But that's a topic for another time.
I haven't even seen it, so I don't know.
Well, you at least know the story that Ray Kroc essentially stole the restaurant from McDonald's brothers. Like, that's not really a spoiler if it's known history.
I didn't know that either.
Son of a bitch. All right. We only have a few more films left on here, but next one up, we have Toy Story 4, the sequel to the series that needed one.
Yeah, I was wondering why this was on both, because
I think you just forgot to move it.
Yeah, I don't know, because...
Well, I mean, look, we've both seen the Toy Story films.
I'm gonna see this one. Just
I'm still seeing it, but like, God, I'm so like torn because I mean, I trust them, right? You have to feel like you trust Pixar, right?
No,
I know that. Well, shut up. They've had a couple misses, but Coco was fantastic. I loved Incredibles 2. And hell, controversially, I actually really liked Finding Dory. I know there's some people that didn't care for it too much, but I really liked it. And you know, I gotta see Woody and Buzz, man. I gotta see them again. I gotta see what they're up to.
The thing is like, what I wish they did, to be honest, is I wish they dropped Woody and Buzz and made new toys, a new story with toys that we could.
You and I both know that would not sell.
I don't care if it wouldn't sell. That's what I want to see. I'm tired of Woody and Buzz.
It's not gonna happen. I'm not tired of Woody and Buzz. As long as Tom and Tim are still around, I'm not gonna be tired of them.
You know what? Toy Story was the first movie I saw in theaters.
It was one of my first, but I think the first one I saw was Lion King, because that was 94. And Toy Story was 95.
I remember it very vividly because my mom told me we were going to watch a movie. And I was thinking, all right, cool. And I thought we were going to the rental store, you know? And we get to this building and I'm like, okay, where's the movies? And we were late because my mom has never been on time to a movie in her life. And I'll never forget, I walked in and it was at the scene where Woody was talking to the little green army man about a birthday party, I think it was.
Yeah.
And my mind was blown. Like, the screen was so big. I felt so small. And my eyes, I don't think I blinked that entire movie. That's
amazing.
It was it made such an impact on me that, like, I don't know how old I was, but I've never forgotten it.
Oh, that film's had a lasting impact to a point. I actually have an old cardboard display prop from like video stores or Toys R Us where they'd advertise, "Hey, we got this tape in." So that's how much I love Toy Story. It means a lot to me. So of course I'm going to see the fourth film. Yeah, bar none.
I think I think the second movie's okay. Like, I don't love the second movie. I love parts of the second movie, but as a whole, I'm kind of like, yeah, it's fine. I really like the
I'm
third.
Weird, but I think Toy Story 2 is a funnier movie than Toy Story 3, but I think Toy Story 3 is a better movie than Toy Story 2.
I would agree with that. I feel like
fair enough.
I feel like the ideas brought into Toy Story 2 are very interesting, but I don't think they do much with them.
They're explored more in the third film.
I really like that they're explored more in the third movie. And I with the fourth movie, I just don't know where they're going to go. Like, is it just going to be another adventure? The thing they've been saying about it being like, it's going to be like Infinity War, that puts me off.
I don't even know what that means.
Yeah, it's like,
how do you do that with Toy Story?
They're just going to kill all the toys? Like, what?
What? No, like, that... Why would it... Moving on, so...
It's good. Have you seen that video on YouTube of the guy who recut Toy Story 3 to end with them all dying?
Yes.
And he gave it to his mom for Christmas.
Yeah. I saw it.
That's going to be Toy Story 4.
So a Addams Family film is in the works, a digital one. Now, I have some interesting things to say about that, because that film has had an interesting production history, because it was supposed to be a stop-motion film, and get this, produced by Illumination, the people behind those Minions.
Ooh.
Well, okay, I know you say ooh, but Tim Burton was producing.
Okay.
With apparently the intention to also direct the film. And it was going to be stop motion. But then I guess Illumination, I think Tim Burton was dropped from the project or he left the project. Then Illumination lost the rights to make the film. I don't recall who's doing it now, but I'm assuming you've seen the same thing that I have, the little image of the family.
Yeah, I really like the
And how
way
they
it looks.
I love it. And first of all, I got to say something about that. One, cast is fantastic. The choices are fantastic.
Oh yeah.
What I hate, and it's not the film, it's the people. Because when that production image came out, all I could see on Twitter was a bunch of people saying it looked like shit. And what bothered me about it was, first of all, not that they were, the fact that they were horrendously wrong in criticizing.
This is news to me.
I know, and let me tell you this. People shit on it, and you know what they were doing? This is what shows the gap between generations, Joey. People were saying, this is not my Addams Family, and their examples were the 90s films.
Oh.
You people do realize that there was both a sitcom and a comic strip that predates those fucking movies, and that the new film is meant to be closer to the comics because that's what the artwork looked like. Like, do people not realize that there are Addams Family things that predate the Raul Julia films?
Yeah, I mean, I'm more familiar with the John Astin version myself, just because that was the version that was on TV at the time. I actually didn't see the movies till much later. And
Let me ask you this: Munsters or Addams Family?
Munsters.
I agree. I still love the Addams Family, but the Munsters I like a bit more.
Yeah, I've always wanted them to remake the Munsters, to be honest. But then, what was that one show, Mockingbird Lane?
Yeah, we don't talk about that.
Oh yeah, maybe that's why I shouldn't get what I want.
Yeah, because you get Mockingbird Lane,
Yeah.
a failed pilot,
Ooh.
aired as a special to use as a tax cut.
Oh, and then there was another Munsters remake that was really bad. That one somehow got
New
through.
Monsters? Wasn't there one called New Monsters?
Yeah, and the theme song was "We're the Monsters," over and over and over. It was awful. It was
The Addams Family looks very promising. I like the character design, especially since, again, they look closer to their comic book counterparts.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, I would have preferred to see them in stop motion, but I'm okay with digital animation as long as I get, like, with that cast involved. I have high hopes for it. Now, I think it could be really good.
Have we actually seen animation from it yet, or is it still?
Nope, we haven't. We have seen nothing but that promotional image. Nothing else. We just have the cast and that image.
What I hope they do is I hope they have it in the same kind of like it's CGI, but it looks like stop motion, much like the Lego movie.
I would honestly like it to feel like the Peanuts movie, where it's kind of like I would like it to be like stylishly 3D. Like Captain Underpants or the Peanuts movie, something like that.
Okay, yeah.
I think that would work in its favor.
I would definitely see it, unless the commercial is like something like the Peabody and Sherman.
First of all, the easiest thing to sell, just like have the da-da-da-da. That's all you need.
Yeah.
Just recreate the iconic family around the chair. That's all you need to do.
I have a subtle fear in the back of my mind that the commercial is going to be like, oh, like the Peabody and Sherman trailer where it was just like fart jokes. That's my fear, that it would turn into that, because I could easily see them doing that.
I would like to think that the people making it know enough about the Addams Family to not go in that direction with it.
Yeah,
but I've been screwed before. So
I like the animation. I like the cast. Unless the trailer is awful,
right?
I probably am going to see it. Yeah.
No, I'm very optimistic about this one, and we have our last few films, two of which we don't really have much to say, but if we don't mention them, you're going to mention them in the comments. So first off, we have Lego Movie 2, which I guess goes into our talking about an animated film. I liked the first one. I liked the Lego Batman movie. I like what I see with this one, so just deliver a funny movie and we'll be good, right? Like, what else do we need to say about the Lego Movie 2?
Yeah, I mean, I heard they're gonna explore a little bit more with the dad and the son.
Are they? Because the trailers aren't giving that off.
Yeah, well, I mean, the trailers didn't say that about the first one either.
True, but we also haven't seen President Business, Will Ferrell, the Link character between the Will Ferrell dad and, the Lego world.
Yeah, true.
He's nowhere in the trailer, so either that character's not in it or whatever.
I felt that element of the original movie kind of elevated that movie, to be honest.
Yeah.
Like, because that movie does feel like something from like a kid's imagination.
No, that's what I loved about it. In fact, freakishly, I predicted that twist.
Oh, really?
Yeah, but not in like a bad way, like, oh, that's the twist. I was like, wouldn't it be cool if, because I theorize that it elements of that film feel like a child's imagination, which is why I think the film looked brilliant.
Mm-hmm.
And then, well, look what it turned out to be. Spoilers for a film you probably should have seen by now. But the other one is Spider-Man Far From Home. Now, I haven't seen Homecoming. In fact, the last Spider-Man film I saw was Into the Spider-Verse, which is fucking amazing, and you should all see it.
Yeah, I hope to see it this weekend.
Yeah, but I haven't seen Homecoming, so I don't really have much in the way of anything with the new Marvel Spider-Man films, the MCU ones. So
I think you'll like Homecoming more than I did, and that's not to say that it's a bad movie. When it comes to Spider-Man, I have a very odd taste when it comes to him. I actually don't like Spider-Man as a kid. Even as a kid, I never liked Spider-Man when he was a kid. Just because when I was a kid, I never felt like I could look up to Spider-Man because he was just like me. And now as an adult, I don't like him as a kid because I can't relate to him. I like Spider-Man struggling with paying rent. I like him going through college. I like that genre of Spider-Man more than I like him in high school. But the one thing I liked about this Spider-Man, I'm not going to spoil anything, but I liked that he was so ground level in that movie. He was like walking around town. He was helping old ladies across the street. I liked how he was so friendly with the New York community. It really felt like Spider-Man. I think the worst element of that movie is the fact that it's so dependent on the MCU. But I thought it was a very serviceable movie. I liked it. I didn't love it, but I liked it. I think it's true what they say. The first two Sam Raimi movies are good movies, but Spider-Man Homecoming is a good Spider-Man movie.
Yeah, fair enough.
So
with that, I think we have our big discussion piece.
No, here's the thing though with Spider-Man Far From Home.
So you do have more to say.
I have a problem with the premise for it. The thing I loved about
Far From Home.
Yeah, Far From Home. I loved the first movie was so ground level. It was so at home. He was part of New York. And you're uprooting that character and putting him in Paris. You're making a fish out of water story right off the bat. And I don't think that works for Spider-Man, in my opinion. I mean, I could be wrong. I haven't seen the movie. I'm going to see it anyways because Mary is crazy but Mary's my fiance. She's crazy about Spider-Man, so we're going to see this movie.
Right.
But that concerns me. I don't like that. I also don't like that Spider-Man has different spider suits, apparently. He's got a stealth suit. I don't know. That just doesn't feel very Spider-Man to me.
Sounds cool, though.
Sounds cool. It sounds like it'll sell toys, but it just sounds like, okay. So this character that's always poor not only has a super suit, but he has two super suits.
He's not poor. He's got his friend Tony Stark to give him all this cool gadgetry.
Yeah, I didn't like that part about the first Spider-Man or Spider-Man Homecoming.
We'll keep, ironic that the topic that we said we don't have much to say, you definitely had more to say about. We probably should have moved that one.
Yeah, I suppose.
But the main course, Godzilla King of the Monsters, man.
Do you want to cover that one first, or do you want to do the other one
I
first?
do, because okay. I've been holding back on that one, because that is my number one film this year. That is the one I have to see. I am the most excited for. I watch every thing that comes out for it, every poster, every trailer, every news piece. I am on the hype train for that one, and I believe you share that same sentiment.
Oh yeah, I think you were at my house when the trailer aired, didn't it?
I was at your house when the trailer dropped, and I think we watched it like 3 times or something, maybe more.
Yeah, we watched it on our phone, we watched it on the computer, we watched it on the TV.
Yep, all we did was just keep watching that damn trailer, and every time we were, I honestly, it felt like being a kid at a sleepover watching a movie that got us excited. Like, oh god, so many. I can't even put them into words, but I just get so many feelings seeing that thing now. You and I are on the same sort of defense of the Gareth Edwards film. To take a page out of Red Letter Media's book, if you are someone whose biggest fault in their eyes of the Gareth Edwards film was there was not enough Godzilla or monster battles in the film, you cannot, by any stretch of the imagination, go into this new film and say that there is too much monster fighting and too much Godzilla. You don't have that right. I'm just going to say that outright. If you come out of this film saying that, go fuck yourself. Especially if you already had that previous sentiment of, the last film didn't have enough of it. You can't go into this one and say, it was too much. I couldn't identify with any of the characters. Fuck you. You have no right to say that.
I think that's the stupidest complaint about Godzilla 2000.
It really is, because, first of all, Godzilla 2014, sorry. Because 2016 was Shin Godzilla, wasn't it?
Yeah, Shin Godzilla was 2016.
Yes. So, okay, Godzilla 2014, first of all, he doesn't even rank as the least amount of Godzilla screen time in a Godzilla film.
Yeah, Shin Godzilla only had 8 minutes.
Yeah. And first of all, I'm sorry, a lot of you people and I loved Shin Godzilla, don't get me wrong. I loved it. But, come on, guys. Like, are we really at this point? I know, for some reason, it feels like it's a conversation that never goes away. Like, I thought this died off, but I'm in a lot of, like, Facebook Godzilla groups, and people still bitch about this. To this day, they're almost like the Last Jedi people, where they don't talk about anything else. And it's infuriating.
I think what bothers me the most about it is, like, they say that the characters from 2014 are, like, super bland and they're super forgettable. But then, like, Shin Godzilla, like, the only character I remember is the chick who wanted to be president. But she's not even a main character. And
first of all, I challenge you, fuckers, I challenge you. Name me one character from the original Toho films that you consider memorable or non-bland or anything like that. Newsflash. You can only name one.
Steve Martin?
Exactly. And the only reason you can name Steve Martin is because he shares the same name of a famous comedian, arguably. And look.
Oh, and Nick Totopoulos.
Go fuck yourself. I could name one. The astronaut from Invasion Monster Zero, or what? Like, I'm a diehard Godzilla fan. I know it's maybe I maybe even fucked up. I think it's Invasion of Astro Monster, but it's also known as Godzilla vs. Monster Zero. See, I fucking know that, so fuck you. But listen, I grew up with these movies. They all have a bunch of fucking talking people, because that's how those films were. It's the build up to the monster. If you were given a monster immediately out the gate, it wouldn't be as satisfying. Like, look, I'm gonna fight this. The greatest fucking scene in cinema history is in Godzilla 2014, where he fucking grabs the Muto, pries its jaw open, and breathes a giant atomic breath down its throat and rips its fucking head off. That's the coolest goddamn scene I've ever seen in a movie. And I will challenge you to name me a better one. All that scene needed was a voiceover that said fatality. And it would have been the greatest goddamn thing ever put to celluloid. Fuck you. Fuck you. It makes me, I have to keep defending that goddamn movie. Look, it's not a masterpiece.
I think
it's a fucking monster movie. But at least give it if you're going to criticize it for the right things. You know, not about the lack of screen time or the bland characters, quote unquote, because these are staples of that franchise that you claim to be fans of.
Honestly, I feel like the characters in that movie aren't even all that bland.
No, I agree, but
the-
for the sake of their argument, you can't knock that down as a negative of that film when this is a standard since these films have been around. They're not known for their well developed and memorable human characters. They're remembered for the monsters in them and the fights that occur.
Yeah, and I remember James Rolfe said that the movie didn't work upon rewatch because it kept on cutting away from the fights, and that like it's cool the first time you see it, but then upon rewatch it doesn't work anymore. And I couldn't disagree more. I think
I agree. But James Rolfe also keeps comparing digital effects to Jurassic Park because apparently no other film ever did digital effects better than Jurassic Park.
I think
I'm sorry, James, but go fuck your... No, I'm not sorry, James. Go fuck yourself. There are other films that can do visual effects better or as good as Jurassic Park. We need to stop harping back to Jurassic Park as, the quintessential example of good CGI. Or rather, good use of CGI.
I think the reason why people use Jurassic Park is because there was such a diversity in effects in that movie. It was a movie that's everyone's seen. And all the effects.
No, I get it because there's puppetry, there's models, and I get it, there's mixture, and mixture helps with the illusion of imagination. Arguably, like I
agree with you. I agree with you. I just think that's the reason why everyone points to Jurassic Park.
Granted, but I hate that becomes the sort of the hook. Like that's always the key. There are other films that do digital very well. Arguably, I know maybe someone will show me. I would use Lord of the Rings as well because there's a mixture of costume, makeup, and digital.
Yeah, Lord of the Rings is an excellent example of that. There's stuff in that movie that I can't tell where the effect begins and the reality ends.
Exactly. But King of the Monsters, I mean, you've got the heavy hitters, man. You've got Godzilla, Mothra, King Ghidorah, and my guy Rodan. That's what I'm excited about, seeing Rodan on the big screen for the first time in a long time.
I was hoping that they were going to have the monster from Gigantus.
You mean Anguirus?
Yeah, I was hoping they were going to have Anguirus in it.
There are rumors, because apparently Michael Dougherty, if that's how his name's pronounced, the guy who did Trick or Treat, he has said that there are more monsters than what we're seeing. There are rumors that Anguirus is going to be in the film. Again, it's speculation. There's no proof to it. But that would be cool to see. It could work. I could see him in this new universe.
I think it would be a nice addition because that was the first monster that Godzilla fought. And it would, I don't know. I think it'd be a nice addition even if he wasn't.
Well, also because outside of being the first monster he ever faced, canonically, he is also a staple of the franchise as a side character. Godzilla's second in command, if you will.
Yeah, I'd really like to see that. And, should we talk about Kong Skull Island?
Well, have you seen it?
Oh, I loved it.
Yeah, I loved it too. But I guess I feel like there are a few people that realize that there's actually a monsterverse. It's Godzilla, Kong, Skull Island, and this film, and then soon Godzilla vs. Kong. Which, Wingard, if you fuck this up, I'm gonna find you. I'm going to find you. And I'm going to have some very choice words. I'm not going to threaten you with violence because I'm on air. But I'm going to find you, and I'm going to have some very choice words, things that I would have to say to your face.
I'm going to look you straight in the eye and tell you I'm disappointed.
Pretty much, yeah, but with a more colorful vocabulary, like that. I believe your mother is ashamed of you. Moving on. So, Kong Skull Island, great film. Yeah. Really great film.
Oh yeah, I saw it in theaters. My fiance did not want to go see it, but I was like, we saw Godzilla, we got to see this one in theaters because they're eventually going to fight. And she left the movie saying she enjoyed it and she liked it just as much as Godzilla. I liked Godzilla much more, but
sure,
that was just a fun movie. There was there was oddly a reference to I almost said the Green Inferno. No, fuck that movie. There's a reference to Cannibal Holocaust. Yeah.
There's a reference to Akira too. There's a nod to Akira in that film.
Oh yeah. It's
the jacket that John C. Reilly's wearing is a nod to Akira.
Yeah, John C. Reilly's really fun in that movie. Like when I saw him in the trailer, I was a little hesitant.
I was a little skeptical. Like they're not gonna go really like funny, are they? But they utilized him very well, especially since the idea is that he's a little, because he's been on an island for years and he's a little kooky.
Yeah.
But I like only John C. Reilly can play a character like that and not go over the top with it.
Oh yeah, I think a lot of people forget that John C. Reilly is
actually a good actor.
Yeah, he's an excellent actor. I forget what movie it is, but he's in a movie with Michael J. Fox, where it's a to be blunt, the movie is about a rape case in Vietnam, and he delivers an excellent performance in that movie. He outshines Michael J. Fox in his acting ability, and Michael J. Fox is the star of the movie.
He's great in Cyrus. I think there's another one. I mean, Chicago, he's really good in.
I've heard that. I haven't seen Chicago though. I hear he sings a song about cellophane.
I believe, if I'm not mistaken, he was nominated for Chicago for Best Supporting Actor. But yeah, people seem to forget John C. Reilly. He's not just Will Ferrell's lackey. He's actually a good actor. But God, what else can we gush about Godzilla? I mean, it looks so fucking good. Like, I know it's like we had a lot to say, but it's like we're just really fucking pumped for that movie.
I think I'm the most excited to see Mothra. Oddly enough.
See, I was actually going to ask who's your monster. Like, who's the one you're rooting for? Okay, let's put it this way. Obviously, Godzilla's going to win. I mean, it's called King of the Monsters.
Yeah. I'm excited to see, like, what they could do with today's technology with King Ghidorah. But
well, apparently they have 3 separate motion actors doing one head each to give them, like, unique performances apiece.
Well, that's interesting.
I like that because I like the idea of Ghidorah having 3 separate personalities with each head.
That'd be funny. It's not just one guy wiggling 2 arms.
Yeah, well, actually, oh yeah, that's right. Because the wings have marionette strings on them.
Yeah,
and there's just one guy waving the other. The thing is that it's always kind of been theorized. I feel there might be someone who wants to call foul, but it's always been theorized that King Ghidorah's heads are 3 separate personalities. Especially since there's a Japanese children's anime, like an educational anime of Godzilla characters, where that's the case, that each head has its own personality.
That's funny.
So I like them implementing that for the motion capture. I feel that's the only way you could really do that. Like, it would just, I don't know, it would just feel weird if they just like mocapped one head and then just copy pasted it 2 other times. I don't know, it would feel kind of soulless that way. It wouldn't have that unique. I mean, King Ghidorah's heads flail, and they should move in separate ways.
I predict that people are going to say that the movie's pretentious.
What do you want?
No, why? Do you know why I think that?
Do tell.
Because that line in the movie where she looks at the lady and says, "You're the monster." I feel like people are going to harp on that.
This is my dick. You can suck it. Feel free.
Well, I'm really excited. I'm not. I know you like the blue. I'm not fond of movies that color their entire film a color. As much as I liked Mad Max, I blame Mad Max for bringing that back. It died and it should have stayed dead. But now everyone's like, "Oh, I want to be like Mad Max. I want to make my whole movie one color."
Well, to be fair, Michael Dougherty, he's kind of known for color grading. You know, because you've seen Trick or Treat.
Yeah, but that whole movie's not, orange.
No, but I'm saying that he does tap into that sometimes.
Yeah. Appropriately.
And I don't think the whole film's not blue. Just when Godzilla's around, is it blue?
Yeah, well, I mean, all I saw was that those trailers. Everything is blue in the trailers. So I'm hoping.
I mean, didn't you hear Godzilla attacked New York recently? The sky turned blue.
Oh, yeah, I did hear about that.
I'm making sure that no one ever wants to listen to this podcast again. Oh God, Godzilla.
And the funny thing is too is I'm going to release this like a week from now, so everyone's going to completely forget about that by then.
Godzilla King of the Monsters. Fucking pumped. We're all excited, but I think the last film, we probably have a lot to say, and again, it'd be blasphemous if we don't mention it. Star Wars Episode 9, the finale of the new age of Star Wars films, after The Force Awakens, one of the most controversial movies of its year, followed by Last Jedi, one of the most controversial movies of the decade, and Episode 9, the Last Hope. We don't.
That's what they should call it. They should call it The Last Hope.
The Last Hope. Episode 9, don't hate us. Episode 9, what do you want?
How did you feel about The Force Awakens?
I still like The Force Awakens.
I do too. I don't love it, but I like it.
Well, I mean, look, nothing's going to top Empire for me. It's just not going to happen.
For me, Force Awakens is on par with Return of the Jedi.
I mean, the thing is, I've seen Force Awakens a couple times. Each time I'm expecting to see the same side as everyone else. Like, it just copies it. And I don't know, like, it does hit notes, but I don't hate the film, like, because people seem to use that as a reason to dislike the film, you know?
Well, here's you've heard this rant from me, I think, a million times, but I think that was the only way they could go with The Force Awakens, because I'm brought back to Indiana Jones. Raiders of the Lost Ark, hit movie, everyone loved it. They made a sequel, and they did something new. They did something kind of crazy,
and people didn't like it.
Yeah, they remade Gunga Din, and everyone hated it because it was too dark. So they're like, okay, well, what do we do for the third one? It made enough money, but people hated it. So let's just remake the first movie again, but we'll throw in Sean Connery as Indy's dad instead of a love story. And people love that. A lot of people love Last Crusade more than Raiders of the Lost Ark.
I am one of those people, but I also, like, you feel, because wasn't the same said about Empire when it came out, that, it's too dark and different, but that's considered the best one, and yet Temple of Doom never, in my eyes, it never really got to, like, Empire status where people are like, oh, that's the best one, because people are always singing the praise of Last Crusade.
Well, I think I like Temple of Doom. I'm not sure if people...
I still like it. I don't hate that film.
I think the biggest problem with Temple of Doom is this: once you watch Gunga Din and you realize that it's just a remake of Gunga Din, then you're like, well, maybe I should just watch Gunga Din instead, because I like Gunga Din. I think Gunga Din is a better movie than Temple of Doom.
Lady only here because she humping director.
That's an actual line from the movie.
It might as well be. But no, with I mean, I don't even, like, where do you sit on Last Jedi?
Just to finish my little rant on The Force Awakens, it only made sense that they would remake A New Hope. It just made more profitable sense.
Sure.
I couldn't see them going any other way. They just pulled an Indiana
Jones. I don't subscribe to the it's a remake. I subscribe to the it borrows beats from the film, but I don't consider it, like, again, to me a remake is, more so. Like,
I don't think it's a beat for beat reboot. It's a sequel that continues the story, but it reboots it for a new generation. I'm fine with what they did. I don't really have an issue with it, just like I don't have an issue with...
The best I can say, it's a Star Wars film.
Yeah, it's fine. I think it's a serviceable movie. I like it.
But let's The Last Jedi, which, again, I'm sure that's the one people give a shit about us talking about, because everyone wants to know which side we're on, and I will say I am horribly indifferent.
Well, okay, so I saw it in theaters. I felt obligated.
As did I.
I felt obligated to see it. I saw it opening night. I left the movie, and I was like, well, that's a movie. And I purposely didn't watch any reviews for it, right? Because I'm just kind of over Star Wars. And then one day I was just sitting alone in my apartment, and I just started thinking about it. And I just kept on thinking about it. And I just found myself asking myself, why did that happen? Why did that happen? And I started just nitpicking the movie.
And you know what? I did the same thing.
Yeah.
That's why I say I'm more indifferent, as opposed to, like, I can't hate a film that's technically a well-made film. You know?
Yeah, it's well made.
I do not think it's a good Star Wars movie. I'll go that far.
People bitch about the editing in it, but I think it's no better or worse than some of the other Star Wars movies.
I mean, who fucking cares? But, like,
I mean, people forget A New Hope has one of the worst jump cuts in history.
The only thing I could say I outright hated about The Last Jedi was killing off my favorite character, Admiral Akbar. I'm not even kidding, I was about to walk out of the theater, because before seeing the movie in the theater, I said, they better not kill Admiral Akbar. I wish I was making this up. I wish I was like, man, this would be a funny story. This is 100% true.
There's just so many... I like everything that the movie does as a concept. Upon execution, I hate it. I feel like Luke's reasoning for why he gave up the Force, I find it to be very, I don't know how to say it, like very surface level, very mundane, very first year writing student. I don't care. I feel like it didn't work, but I love the idea of Luke giving up hope. The most hopeful man in the universe, hopeless. I love that idea, but the reason why it just didn't work for me. It wasn't explored enough. And I feel like that's every complaint I have with the movie is that. I was like, I like that idea. I don't like how they did it. I love the idea that Rey's parents are nobodies. I think that's a phenomenal idea. I just wish Rey was a more interesting character.
Well, in my eyes, I like that if only we had seen that, and we're not told that.
Yeah.
It is a motion picture show, not tell it. Like, I mean, we could go on and on about The Last Jedi, but we got to talk about is the ninth film. Now, I know nothing except that apparently Abrams is back on for this one.
Yeah, and he's supposedly, quote unquote, taking a chainsaw to the events of Last Jedi.
Really?
Yeah, that's many articles have in quotes taking a chainsaw. I've seen 3 articles that had that in quotes. I think what we're gonna get is 3 Star Wars movies that are very tonally different from one another.
How are you? Is he basically trying to like retcon the entirety of Last Jedi?
Apparently, he's changing the Rey's parents thing. He's gonna make it so that's a lie or something like that.
That's a pretty easy fix to make since it was Kylo Ren that said it.
Yeah, I mean, Rey. He says Rey knows, but I whatever.
See, again, it feels weird. We picked 2 things that were like, oh, we're gonna talk about this a lot, but like we spent more talking about Last Jedi than Episode 9 because there's virtually nothing out there for us to, again, outside of, well, Abrams is back and apparently they're changing a few things.
All I gotta say is they better not have another freaking Death Star. I'm so tired of them. I'm so tired of the Death Star. It'll be like what? Okay, we have 1, 2, 3, 4. We have 4 movies of the Death Star. No more Death Stars.
And remember, kids, it wasn't Hoth because it was salt.
Yeah.
They wanted you to know that was not snow. That was salt.
And the thing is, too, like, what freaking Rian Johnson was going on about subverting expectations, but he hit a lot of the same beats as Empire. Like, it's not as blatant as The Force Awakens, but he shifted the movie around. It hits a lot of the same beats as Empire. It just doesn't hit the emotional beats as well.
It doesn't hit the being a good movie parts of the...
Yeah.
The thing is, I had more high hopes for Last Jedi because, again, Empire is my favorite. So I was like, well, the middle film will probably be my favorite in this trilogy, right?
That's what I thought, too, yeah.
So, yeah, I guess we both... I think that might have been the reason we came out with a worse mindset, because we wanted to be wowed with the middle film.
I came in with no expectations. I was just like, oh, it's probably going to be better than the last one, because now they don't have to prove that they're not the prequels. And I came out thinking, like, oh, well, that was a movie. And then, like, a month later, I just was like, oh, why did that purple-haired lady just kill herself? Why wasn't that Princess Leia? Who was she? Why? I just started thinking about it. I was like, why did they do that? That doesn't make any sense.
There are so many things that could have been saved in the edit.
Yeah, seriously. They could have killed off Carrie Fisher's character, and it could have been very emotional.
Also, I hate the ending of the film. I don't mean like, oh, Luke's gone and there's hope. I mean like the end with the kid in the broom.
Oh, you know what's funny about that? I know you don't like Chad Vader, but that's the ending of Chad Vader season 1.
Really?
The kid with the broom.
Did they take from Chad Vader? The problem I have with that scene is, to me, that's something you put at the end of your trilogy, not the end of your second film. That I feel that scene would have had the bigger impact they wanted if it was at the end of the new trilogy.
I know you're probably gonna hate me for doing this because I'm gonna reference Family Guy, but do you remember the part where Peter says the film insists upon itself?
Yes.
That's the ending of The Last Jedi. It insists upon itself. The movie's over, but it keeps on insisting.
The thing is, I can't call you out because I referenced Family Guy a while ago with the Indiana Jones thing.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that ending, it was unnecessary. It didn't make any sense. Yeah. Like, that whole movie is just...
There's a lot of odd decisions that... I feel the problem was I haven't seen that documentary that's apparently, like, worth seeing about the making of the film.
Oh, it's interesting. Because I bought the Blu-ray. I didn't even watch the movie. I watched that documentary, and it's odd. It's it's like 2.5 hours of Ryan Johnson like masturbating to himself. It's an interesting watch.
Fair enough. I'll have to see it. I was gonna say, like, was there a problem where no one questioned Ryan?
Yeah, that's what it felt like.
No one was ever like, maybe don't do that.
Yeah,
that usually helps with the making of a film.
Yeah, and you know what's funny is that this is like everyone was like petitioning for George Lucas to come direct the third movie.
You don't want that.
And I was like thinking, I was like, you don't want that. Like, he did the prequels. We know he can't do it. And you're like, no, George Lucas needs to bring the heart back into Star Wars. And I'm like, honey, George Lucas said The Last Jedi was better than all the Star Wars movies combined. Maybe you need to take a step back.
My favorite story about George Lucas is for one of the Star Wars video games, I believe, like, what's that one with, like, the Sith Lord you play?
Dark Force or Dark something
like that. So apparently the developers who were working on that game, where George Lucas was a consultant, which basically is the amount they go to him for approval or ideas. And there's a famous story that apparently, I'll get these names wrong, but for that main character, they needed a name. So they went to George and they said, George, we are trying to come up with a name for our Sith Lord. Do you have any suggestions? And he threw out like these terrible names, and the one of them that stood out was Darth Icky. And here's the thing: apparently the guys, when he was throwing these out, were like, "Wait, you're serious?" Because he wasn't laughing. Like, you want us to name our character Darth Icky? Granted, they didn't go with that.
Oh, thank
but the
God.
thing is, like, either George Lucas is a fucking buffoon or he's a massive troll that gets off on seeing how far he could fuck up Star Wars for people.
You know, it's funny because I made that video about A New Hope a couple years ago, and when I found it extremely difficult to research the original Star Wars movie because there's so many different stories about what happened, like right down to the writing of the script. There's interviews with George Lucas where he says his 400-page script for Star Wars was this like epic, like the Ten Commandments. And then there's other ones where he's like, it's just a bloated version of A New Hope. And then there's like interviews, more recent interviews, where he says all 9 Star Wars movies were in this one script, but it directly contradicts all the other interviews he did. So I feel like George Lucas is, I wouldn't say he's a liar, but I feel like he's kind of like that grandpa who believes his own hype, you know?
Yeah.
He's just like, oh yeah, he says something that he said, and he's like, oh yeah, that's totally what happened. And then you contradict it, and he's like, yeah, that's totally what happened. I get the vibe that that's what George Lucas is. And he can afford to be that way, I think.
I mean, yeah. He's on a very nice pile of money.
Have you ever read the script outlines for George Lucas's 7, 8, and 9?
No, I don't think I have.
They're terrible. It's the prequels all over again, but instead of an army of clones from some New Zealander, it's an army of Lukes and Anakins.
That sounds awful.
Yeah, I read the outlines because
you people claim you want him back for 7, 8, 9.
Well, I think it's funny too. People complaining about the Disney buyout and how like, oh, they retconned all those books, and I'm like, George Lucas retconned those books with the Star Wars prequels, right? They were gonna do it no matter who made that movie because they don't want to credit those writers. They don't want to pay those writers for the movie.
The Thrawn trilogy is the best trilogy. So with that, I believe that ends it with our list of the films of 2019 that we're looking forward to, cautiously optimistic, or just interested in. A variety, a smorgasbord of films. What else is there to say?
I guess people want us. People would probably want us to talk about the Avengers, but I haven't seen Infinity War, so
thank you for listening. So,
bye.
I think you're typical. Leave a comment in the video about the 2019 films you're most looking forward to, if we didn't mention it, or if you agree or disagree with our points. Maybe we missed out something. We want to hear from you. And be sure to like the video and subscribe to Joey Hollywood Films And follow him on Twitter and all that stuff.
Yeah, and follow Chris on his channel. He's amazing. Follow him on Twitter, or follow. Subscribe to his channel and follow him on Twitter. I'm not sure if I said that
right. They get it. It's underneath my face anyway.
Yeah, and in the comment section, I'd really like to hear what you'd like to have us talk about. Like, I'd like to hear.
Oh yes, we would love more topics.
Yeah, because we got a handful, but I'm sure we'll come up with more as the months go by. But I'd really like to have input from our audience. That's one thing I'm really big into is channels that listen to their audience and put their ideas into play. I feel like not enough channels actually do that, especially smaller channels. I feel like smaller channels should do that more.
And plus, it's just fun.
Yeah, but yeah. Besides that, I think we're pretty much done.
I agree. Thank you all for listening, and we'll see you in the next one.
Bye.
Bye.